6 donuts right there. You take a bite, you catch some of that chocolate that we folded in, those chocolate chips. Oh, it's like a chocolatiness explosion. Welcome back to the Anabolic Hub, where we make anabolic deliciousness. We're back inside my kitchen today, and we're doing another original recipe, high protein, chocolate frosted donuts. Who doesn't like donuts? And who doesn't like chocolate frosted donuts? You may have one that you prefer more, but I bet you wouldn't say no if somebody offered you a chocolate frosted donut. Unfortunately, having one of those has you feeling maybe a little guilty. With these, there is zero guilt. They are loaded with protein, much lower in calories, and they are definitely going to be ideal for any weight loss plan, any main-gaining plan, and definitely any shredding plan. So, with no further ado, let's get things started having a look at the ingredients. Here we go. All-purpose flour, chocolate-based casein protein powder, Swerve, granular cocoa powder, baking powder, baking soda, the one ingredient to rule them all, salt, chips of chocolate, vanilla extract. I can't believe it's not butter, a light one, plain non-fat Greek yogurt, unsweetened almond milk, Swerve, confectioners. And this is another one of those magical recipes where we're mixing together some dry ingredients, we're mixing together some wet ingredients, and we're combining the two for some anabolic deliciousness. So let's get things started here by mixing together our dry ingredients first. First dry ingredient is going to be 75 grams of your all-purpose flour. And we went a little over. Then 75 grams of your chocolate-based casein protein powder. Don't use whey. It's not great to bake with. It comes out dry. It's pretty much useless for baking. So invest in some casein. I know it's more expensive, but it's worth it. We're baking, we're not drinking. Get some casein, chocolate-based, 75 grams, going in. And we definitely need the sweetness factor here. We're going to be putting in 40 grams of our Swerve granular. I was very lucky there. I put in a huge scoop and it brought it to 39 grams. Very dangerous, but if worst case scenario is more sweetness, I wouldn't lose any sleep about it. And next we add to the chocolatiness with 20 grams of our cocoa powder. Another heaping scoop bringing us to 19. And 20 on the money. Then it's 4 grams of our baking powder, not baking soda, baking powder. But we'll get to the baking soda in a second. And as promised, we need 2 grams of our baking soda. Then 3 grams of our one ingredient to rule them all, salt. That's all our dry ingredients, which, as you know, next we're going to mix, actually sift all of the ingredients together. Don't sleep on the sifting. I said it early this time, but we gotta do it. Here we go, mixing, sifting. And I already mentioned it, don't sleep on the sifting. In order of best to worst, we have sifting, we have whisking, and we have stirring with a spoon. Of course, you know which one I recommend. Don't ask in the comment section. Don't tell me that you can just whisk it. Don't do that. You can't. You have to sift it. We need proper disbursement of all of our dry ingredients, especially our baking powder and our baking soda, because we want a nice, even bake. Dry ingredients done. Next, we move on to the wet ingredients. So I just wanted to break in real quick here to remind you to smash the like button. Consider subscribing if you're not subscribed, and why don't you tell me in the comment section, what's your favorite flavored donut? Let's talk donut flavors. Comment section, go now. Okay, back to the video. First wet ingredient is going to be 28 grams of the I can't believe it's not butter, the light one, or any light butter. And you got it in your microwave safe container, and through the magic of editing, we've instantaneously microwaved for 10 seconds and softened our light butter, which we will now put into the bowl. Then we need 140 grams of our plain non-fat Greek yogurt, negative scale measuring system. And with what we have there on the spoon, we have 140 grams of the plain non-fat Greek yogurt, exactly. Then 2 grams of the vanilla extract. And as you can see, I broke my own rule when I opened up the vanilla extract. I ripped the top right off that little foil piece that's usually there. I like to poke a hole in it, makes it much easier to measure out. Here you can see I have to be very steady-handed, so highly recommend if you get a new vanilla extract, poke a hole in the top with a toothpick, then you don't have to worry as much. For the last wet ingredient, we're going to be putting in some almond milk, unsweetened of course. We're gonna start with 50 grams and then we'll add in more once we start mixing. But for here, we're gonna get things started with just the 50 grams, putting it in. Then of course, the next step is to mix them up. And once you have all your ingredients well combined, the next step is to add in your dry ingredients to your wet ingredients, which we'll do in 3 separate batches. Batch number 1, batch number 2, and of course, batch number 3. And for demonstration purposes only, I've not added in quite enough almond milk. If this is what you're seeing, as we know, depending upon which casein protein powder you choose to use, you will need a different amount of almond milk. The absorption rates vary by each one. So if it's starting to have this beach sandy type texture, you know that you need more almond milk. I'm gonna add in another 25 grams here and keep going just to show you how you do it if you're not using Optimum Nutrition chocolate-based casein protein powder. Code Kenny Fisher saves you 0%. And if you're still seeing that beach sandy type texture, you know you still need more almond milk. We will stop playing around here and use the exact amount that I know we need, which is going to be another, let me see, I put in 20, put in 50, 75. So I need another 50 grams of the quick math in my head to put in here. That'll get us the perfect texture, which I'm about to show you. And once the dough starts looking like this, where it's a little bit wet and kind of clumping up into one dough ball, you know you have the right texture, the right amount of almond milk, and you are ready to start putting your dough into your donut tray, which we're gonna do after we add in our chips of chocolate. And we got our 21 grams of chocolate chips or chocolate bar cut up into chips or sugar-free chocolate chips. Whatever you want to use, totally fine. The calories don't make a big difference. I honestly don't think the taste makes a huge difference, but if you want to use real chocolate, go for it. If you want to use sugar-free, go for it. Macros change slightly, but it's nothing that's going to throw you off track. I actually think buying the bars, the Hershey bars, are actually the best way to go about it. Then you don't have any temptation. You can only really make 2 batches of this and then it's gone and you don't have a bag of chocolate sitting around. So if that's a trigger for you, nice little tip there. I'm gonna add these in, fold them in, and then we can start forming our donuts. And we have our 6 donut tray here, 3 inches in diameter. Is that how you say it? Anyway, 3 inches is the measurement, and for the donuts, perfect for the amount of dough that you have here, but make them however you want. If you want to make donut bars, make donut bars. If you want to just make one big sheet cake, go for it. To each their own. Personally, I like them as donuts, so that's what we're going to do here. We have our water off to the side. We're going to put that on our hands so that the dough doesn't stick too much to them. We always get a little bit dirty in the video, but I digress. Let's start forming our donuts in our donut tray so we can get baking. First things first, spray the tray with some non-stick cooking spray. Forgot to mention, but it was high capacity non-stick cooking spray. It was loaded and it was fired, as you saw. Then you just want to start forming yourself a log. Line it in the tray. And if it connects, great. If it doesn't, just fill it in with a smaller piece of log until it does. And when you get so excited about the donuts that you forget to dip your fingers into the water, this is what you get. And as you can see, I guessed right on the length of each log that we made into a donut. I guess I've just made too many donut recipes that I can now eyeball it. By the way, if you haven't seen those, they are great. I'll put the links in the description. You can see the thumbnails here. Definitely go watch those after you try this one. You can have a nice little donut day if you want. Anyway, we are done here. Our donuts are ready to go into the oven, which we have preheated at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius. We are going to bake these for 8 to 11 minutes, and then, well, you'll see. And of course, we're gonna need chocolate frosting for our chocolate frosted donuts. So we're gonna get things started with the best protein powder for making frosting, which is, you guessed it, casein protein powder. We're gonna be using 33 grams right here. Then to add to our frosting flavoring, we're gonna be putting in 30 grams of our Swerve confectioners. Give those a quick little mix and sift. Then for the first wet ingredient, we're gonna put in 130 grams of the unsweetened almond milk. Carefully give that a mix. And as a side note, if you like thicker frosting, put in less almond milk. If you're not using the optimum nutrition, put in even less. I'd say start with 50 and add by 25 more thereafter to find out how much you need, because as mentioned, all absorption levels of casein protein powder are slightly different. And the last finishing touch we put on pretty much all of our frostings is going to be a few drops of our vanilla extract. I would say you can put in 5, but no more than 7. And one final mix. And you got yourself some chocolate frosting ready to go. We just need to wait for our donuts to come out of the oven, cool off. We'll add this on top of them, and then you know where we're going next. And out of the oven after 11 minutes, our donuts are done baking. Now we need to let them cool before we can put on our frosting. Do you want to see what they look like right now? I bet you want to see it. Let's try that whole transition thing while maintaining autofocus and keeping our audio. Let's give it a whirl, literally. And there they are, like all of our anabolic goods, slightly inflated, if you will. Once these cool, they will come down quite a bit and they will look like donuts. You will see the donut holes. And what we're gonna do is let them set here for 5 more minutes, transfer them to our cooling rack, delightfully placed right there, and then we're gonna add on our frosting, and then it's over to the taste test table. Now that our donuts have completely cooled, they were set in the pan, we put them on the cooling rack for 10 minutes. We are now ready to add on our chocolate frosting to these wonderful, wonderful little donuts here. You want to pick one up just like this, grab some of your frosting, just a little bit, not too much, and just go around the edge, and voila, chocolate frosted donut. I'm gonna do that to the rest of these, and then, well, you know where we're going. And we're back at the taste test table yet again to try another original recipe, chocolate frosted donuts. Whew. Every time there's a new donut recipe, I get really excited. Even though chocolate is not my 100% #1 go-to treat, these are pretty phenomenal. It makes me a chocolate person, and it's hard for me to be a chocolate person. Always been not a chocolate person. But having said that, this recipe here, oh my goodness. And like all of our anabolic recipes, putting these in the fridge in an airtight container, day 1 is better than day 0, day 2 is better than day 1, day 3 is better than day 2. They just get better and better like a fine wine throughout the week. Texture improves, the chocolatiness comes out, and they are more incredible than the last day. Not last time, the last day. Anyhow, I digress slightly there. These are so good. I'm gonna give you a close-up look at the whole plate. Try not to dump them everywhere. Let's give it a go. Hopefully you can see all 6 donuts right there. I feel like if I lean forward anymore, they're all gonna slide off, but that's what they look like. So friggin' good. Let's stop talking about them and let's try one. I'm gonna grab this one here, and what the heck, we'll give you a close-up look at what this looks like. There it is, chocolate frosting all around, and that is loaded with protein and chocolatiness. You are gonna love these. Ugh. And with no further ado, first bite, best bite, every time with these. Can't convince me otherwise. Here we go. Oh, delicious. One thing I should mention, when it comes to day 0, fresh out of the oven, just frosted them, even though they're cooled down, you take a bite and you catch some of that chocolate that we folded in, those chocolate chips. Oh, it's like a chocolatiness explosion. So delicious. You know, just there's pros and cons to early and late, right? We know that. Anyway, this is something you must try. A great meal prep snack. You could double this batch, have 2 a day for most of the week. Heck, have 1 a day like this. The way the macros are, speaking of those, I'll flash them up here so we can take a look. It's about 150 calories and 17 grams of protein per donut. That's unbelievable. They're loaded with protein. They're gonna be ideal for whatever weight loss plan, maingaining plan, shredding plan you may be on. These are gonna fit in quite nicely. Way better than drinking some whey protein, am I right? Invest in some casein, highly recommended. Anyway, if you try it, please let me know in the comment section because I'd love to hear how they turned out for you, but it's getting to be about that time. I gotta get up out of here, so I'll see you in the next one. Bye.